Hello, Chief here for CTT. I think I'm going to wrap up Hawaii today. I leave there triumphantly because, like I said, I had a court case about the whole time I was there. And I leave in triumph. I got custody of all my 4 kids. My younger 2 were the ones I had to quarrel with while I was in Hawaii. So prior to leaving Hawaii, there was this shipping company that had a program where you could turn your car in. They would transport your car to stateside, and they would have it waiting for you at the airport. So I was without wheels and 4 kids. So I had one of my soldiers. His wife was not there. She decided that she wanted to stay stateside while he had a tour in Hawaii. So he had this big van that he had purchased there, and I said, can I borrow it, rent it from you? And which I did, and I gave him a couple $100 he wasn't expecting. So I had some wheels until I left. And then we stayed at a hotel down there by the airport, but not close enough to walk to. And plus there was no way I was going to walk with 4 kids and a bunch of luggage. I really got mad at the hotel we stayed at because the guy that was running the shuttle looked at me and kind of ignored me because he looked at all the multitude of bags and realized that I would fill up his shuttle van by myself. So I ended up having to call a taxi. And yeah, so we flew. Single parent, 4 kids. Landed in LA. Got out to this lot. My car was not there. Called them up. Oh no, sir, your car hasn't arrived yet. So I had to call my uncle. My uncle lived in the LA area, and we spent a couple days with him before my car showed up. And then he took me to go get my car one day, and then I said, well, thank you, Uncle, very much. So it's time to leave. Went and visited my folks, and while I was there, the other ex-spouse, she decided that she wanted the older 2 back since I was back stateside, so she took them. So I was down to 2 kids now, the ones I just won the battle for. So on my way to Georgia, I actually came down here to San Antonio, Texas to visit a friend. We spent a day there, and then I drive to report to good old Fort Stewart, Georgia. And my gaining platoon sergeant looks at me and says, you're the least expendable person I have right now. I'm sending you to NTC in about 2 weeks. Oh, well, I just got here with 2 kids. I think I had a house. I think I got my house. I don't know if I got my household goods yet or not. I got my kids set up in this daycare, and I could not afford it. Seriously, it's a good thing I went to NTC because I probably would have been broke in 2 months because this lady was running a business that she ran in Germany, and there was no if, and, or buts, and she treated me like a married couple. And I said, I'm a single parent. I can't afford your rates, but you'll do temporary. And of course, she wanted money down. My kids had only gone there like 2 or 3 days before I had to tell her my wonderful story that I was driving back across the states to meet my parents halfway so they could get my kids for while I was going to NTC. She had no sympathy, no refund, no nothing. And I paid her like for 2 weeks, and it wasn't cheap. She had no sympathy. She was like, eh. So I went to NTC. Didn't even really get to meet my platoon. It was just like, okay, you're gone. After in processing. And so I went to NTC, and I found out that I was going to be the NCOIC, the non-commissioned officer in charge. It was me, a staff sergeant, a captain, and one section of GSR, ground surveillance radar. I think there was 4 or 5 of them. We were the only contingent coming out of Fort Stewart, Georgia to support one of Fort Stewart, Georgia's brigades. The rest of the MI assets were coming from Bragg, which was going to be led by a warrant officer, and they had 3 or 4 vehicles plus the necessary troops, which we didn't hardly see throughout the entire time that I was at NTC. So here I'm at NTC. Everybody that's been to NTC, they know about the box. This was May, so it wasn't really super hot yet, but it was hot enough by the time the exercise ended with. We had an enjoyable time. I almost got killed. I'm a terrible sleeper. If there's generators blowing or making noise, I can't sleep with all that noise, even with earplugs in my ear. And I finally worked myself to exhaustion one day, and the captain looks at me and she goes, "You need some rest." So I set up a cot right alongside of our Humvee, and I almost got ran over, they said. They said, "This is how sound asleep you were." I was also near one of the guidelines for the antenna that we had set up. Because it was me, the captain, a warrant officer, and one of his NCOICs. So it's just the 4 of us at this place. So I was outside right alongside the vehicle. And she's, like they said, I don't know if it was a Hemet or some other big thing, but they said it almost slammed into their vehicle. And I was kind of in between it when they saw me at the last second. So they ended up putting up, can't think of the word right now, glow sticks. They had to put some glow sticks around me because I woke up, I was surrounded like a Christmas tree. It was lit up like a Christmas tree. I slept for about maybe 8 hours, they said. But the warrant officer throughout this exercise, he worked himself too. Oh my gosh. When we finally got to one position where they said we would be there for a couple days, and he crashed. He slept for 17 straight hours. I've never seen anybody sleep 17 hours before. I think the longest I've ever slept is 10 hours, so I couldn't imagine sleeping 17 hours. So I go to, like I said, I go to NTC. I wasn't expecting this right off the bat. You know, this is my welcome. You know, in process, Fort Stewart, you're going to NTC right away. And we get back, and then I think, like I said, I think I already had a house, and then my household goods, and then my parents came down for a short visit to deliver my kids to me. And then I found out why I got stuck with Fort Stewart when I got back, because I finally get to meet my platoon, my section, my squad, and where I'm going to work officially. I mean, I met them briefly, but it was like, "Hi, see you when I get home." And the staff sergeant that I was taking over for, she was on her way to, I guess, take over for me in Hawaii in about a month or two. So I got some crossover. I tried to tell her, but I said, "I don't know exactly where you're going to end up, so I really can't tell you, what to expect and where you're going to work." I said, "You can work anywhere as far as I know." But that was my introduction to Fort Stewart. I had a hard time finding things at first because it's a pretty well spread out post. I mean, you got a sign that says PX this way, but generally not how far. You just got to keep driving that. So I found all that at first. They tried to trick me during a PT session one day. They found out that I could run. So they decided that about 3, 4, 5 of us, I think it was, running the fast group, they're like, "Oh, okay, we're going to take you for a run." And basically, I had to keep up because if I fell out, I would not know how to get back to where I was supposed to be back at the battalion. That's how crazy this run was. But I kept up, and they were surprised. I took over, like I said, a section, so basically had about 10 soldiers that worked underneath me. And to show you how much things change, I waited till she left, and then I sat down one of the soldiers and I said, "Okay, I want to find out what we got." So I picked this soldier and I said, "Okay," because we had a cage, as we called it, a supply cage where we had all our excess equipment that wasn't hanging around inside of our expando vans. We had 5-ton expando vans that we would pull out, set up our equipment on the inside, shrink it, and then fold the sides back in. So I'm trying to show my intelligence, which, like I said, things change. I said, "How many 292s do we have?" talking about the antenna I used to be able to put up by myself. He looks at me and goes, says, what's a 292? I said, an antenna. He says, no, it's a 254. I go, no, 254 is my radio. He goes, no, our SINGARS is our radio. So that tells you how much equipment had changed in 3 years. What I experienced with at Fort Riley while I was in Hawaii for 3 years, I get back to a new site and configurations and numbers and nomenclatures have all changed from all the equipment. So I said, okay, let's go through the cage and you tell me what we got and you tell me what it is. So that was my introduction to taking over a squad. I will shine here at Fort Stewart. I really will. My leadership will be put to the test. I will have some soldiers that have some difficulties and some fun times with them too. But in that, for the first 18, 20 months, I really concentrated on them and I didn't concentrate on myself because this is my last assignment as an enlisted soldier. I will put in my warrant packet while I'm here at Fort Stewart, and we'll talk about that later. So this is Chief. Remember, freedom is not free. So Chief signing out. Freedom is not free. Hug a bit, thank a bit. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.